So they had to have some kind of a story. They couldn't say, well, we just got it out of a box of Mackenzie's papers. The people would, the jealousies and the nitpicking that would go on if they said that, they'd never get it off the ground. So even Mackenzie would not have claimed authorship for it. So they decided they would create a kind of a hoax. And they made sure, though, that when they created the hoax, that the hoax was not too far from the actual truth. So what they did was they created a 90-year-old German woman called Fraulein Sprengel, who would have sent them the manuscript. And then, no sooner had she authorized them to do something with it, indicating, of course, even the impression that she was a member of the Ruby Rosicrucian. No sooner would she get it to them than she would conveniently die, and then the communication would be broken, and they would have it, and they would be off and running. Now that's what they decided to do, and so Westcott had some letters written from a post in Germany and had to send over it, and they created this little thing. But interestingly enough, when they created this hoax, they gave Fraulein Sprengel, they gave her a magical motto: Sapiens Dominubitur Astris. SDA, okay, but here's the catch on that. We just recently found out, just in the past few years, we just recently found out that happened to be the motto of a very, very famous and very, very respected British occult lady, occult scholar, Dr. Anna Kingsford. Now, Dr. Anna Kingsford had been the head of Theosophy in England, and of course she'd gotten out of Theosophy when during the Krishnamurti scandal. She got out of Theosophy, and she really was more Western-oriented, so she started a group called the Hermetic Society, which both Westcott and Mathers were members of, and they were lecturing at her Hermetic Society. Well, Anna Kingsford had just died that year, and that was her magical motto. Bob Gilbert just found out about this just a very short time ago. Because she had delivered a paper over in Austria under that motto. So what they were really saying was that they were kind of underneath saying that Anna Kingsford was supporting them, and then also Alexandrina Mackenzie. They initiated Mackenzie's widow. She was one of the first initiates that they took into the Golden Dawn. So the mysterious Fraulein Sprengel was really a composite of Anna Kingsford and Alexandrina Mackenzie. They weren't really lying that much. And also, too, we might mention that the word Sprengel has been alleged by some people to be a Masonic joke in German at the time. I mean, Sprengel was a sort of something phony in German Masonry, and so they were sort of had their tongue in their cheeks when they did this. So they weren't really pulling a hoax that hurt anybody, and they used that as their charter myth, if you will. And so the Golden Dawn was founded, and off it went. Well. Now, we're talking about a cipher manuscript. We should really kind of talk about what it is. It's a 57-page cryptogram on these cipher characters, which translates into English. Now, it's not just ritual outlines. It's also knowledge lectures. And the Golden Dawn is these knowledge lectures, plus all of the material embedded in the rituals, represents a terrific synthesis of the material of Cornelius Agrippa, of Trithemius. This takes that the Western esoteric tradition, the magical tradition, and the alchemical tradition, and the Qabalah, which, because a lot of this is based on Knor von Rosenroth's Qabalah de Nudata, which was the only translation of the Zohar that was available to those who did not read the original Hebrew at that time. And the Hebrew Aj Mazareth was the only text that combined alchemy and Qabalah. And then we had Eliphas Levi's version of the Tarot, which really made a small change on it. One of the things that the Golden Dawn did that was remarkable, and it was that they had their version of the correspondences of the four elements, the signs of the zodiac, and the planets attributed to the letters of the Hebrew alphabet according to the original book of the Qabalah, the Sefer Yetzirah. All of this was laid out in such a way that it would all go on the Tree of Life diagram and be a complete integrated system, integrated with the Tarot, the Qabalah, and alchemy, and the whole thing would be completely integrated into practical work. This was really, really amazing, and they had to do a lot of sorting through and a lot of deep meditation. They had to have a tremendous knowledge of the Bible, the Qabalah, and even Eastern mysticism, which they included. And they created a system that was totally interlocked and completely practical. And not only that, they integrated the Enochian system of Dee and Kelly from back in Elizabeth's time, this tremendous Enochian system of magic, and they integrated that into it. And this whole, they created a whole magical universe that you could have practical access to. And this was an amazing thing. It was just amazing. Now, the Cypher Manuscript itself, as I said, it's 57 pages. What I did, I got my copy from Rigardi via David Kennedy, who was one of Rigardi's proteges. And back when we started Isis Osiris in 1980, let's see, that was from 1980 to 1986. We ran the Isis Osiris Temple of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in Pasadena, and so we had the Cypher Manuscript from Rigardi, and I started working on it. Dave had tried to decipher it, and he couldn't quite manage it, so I started. But the copy wasn't all that good, and so then as things moved along, I got a much better copy from Lionel Snell over in England, and eventually I got and then I got in touch with Bob Gilbert finally, and got this thing together. And Bob Gilbert offered to to contribute his article on the Society of Eight, which was the clique, the Sock-Ross clique that all these people belong to. So you really understand the politics and the personal politics behind all this stuff. And so we put together this book, and right now we have the second edition. And what I decided to do, the first edition came out in '97, and that's been selling ever since. And so that was paperback. And so what I decided to do, when we got the new material on Anna Kingsford, I added that, and then I added something on the Horos Affair, which I'll read for you, because that's where the Anna Kingsford thing sort of came back to bite them in the end. And we added all of this to the new second edition. Now, the new second edition is a beautiful hardback. It's in pebble grain blue leatherette with gold stamp, Golden Dawn logo on the cover, Secrets of the Golden Dawn Cypher Manuscript in gold, and all the new material in it. And you can get this, it's on Amazon right now. You can get it for $39.95 on Amazon. The old paperback's no longer in circulation. However, I just saw an ad at eBay for one of the old paperbacks, the 97 paperbacks. Somebody wants $250 for this thing, and they're selling it in England for $200. And then other people are selling it for $100. This is the paperback, but the new second edition is so much. It's got all the new material in it. This beautiful hardback. So, and we're not making any money on this one, because at $40 a copy, we're just breaking even. But this is a beautiful book, and so if you want a copy of the Cypher Manuscript with all the new material, for heaven's sake, get the new second edition. You'll find it on Amazon. Anyway, the Horos Affair is something we need to discuss, because this business of Anna Kingsford's motto came back and was used to deceive Mathers, and this almost destroyed the Golden Dawn. So let me read a little bit of this to you. Okay, years later, in the period leading up to the Horos scandal, Mathers openly accused Westcott of having forged or procured to be forged his communication with the secret chief, so that was the Sprengel. And Dr. Westcott had resigned from the order a few years earlier when his association with esotericism had begun to threaten his professional medical standing. Trying to keep his esoteric interests from intruding further into his career, he denied Mathers' accusation, but declined to protest, saying only that all his witnesses to the contrary were deceased. And this brings us to the Horos Affair. The imperator of the Golden Dawn, Samuel MacGregor Mathers, and his wife were shamefully exploited by a fraudulent spiritualist medium, Madame Horos, who then went on to create a bogus Golden Dawn in 1901. Now, this perverse charade ended in a scandal that nearly destroyed the genuine order through collateral damage in the popular press. Again, the bare facts as stated are true, but behind these facts lies a strange story that would make an intriguing plot for a Sherlock Holmes adventure. Now, Samuel Mathers and his wife, Moina, sister of the philosopher Henry Bergson, had relocated from London to Paris in 1892. And there they founded and operated the Athur Temple of the GD, while still trying to exercise control over the British temples. Now, Dr. Woodman had died, and Wynn Westcott had resigned, for reasons already stated, leaving MacGregor Mathers as the last of the founding adepti. He now claimed to be in contact with the secret chiefs of the exalted Third Order. The exalted Third Order. And he was thus entitled to absolute power over the affairs of the GD and the RRNAC, that's the inner order. Now, this was not what was originally intended in the Golden Dawn's chartering documents, and it was the first step in a chain of events that would end in disaster. Now, before we follow this sequence further, let's stop to consider another 19th century and early 20th century psychic phenomenon that preceded and set the stage for Madame Blavatsky's ascended masters, the American export, spiritualism. Now, there are still millions of people today who firmly believe that spiritualist mediums can contact the recent dead. Fortunately, by the 21st century, most intelligent, well-educated people have learned to be skeptical about this activity. But at the turn of the last century, spiritualist mediums were taken very seriously by a number of important people, among them the creator of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle. So let us not look back with bemused contempt upon the victims of these fraudulent mediums.